Hello, good evening, and welcome to Canada Footy TV. This is the instant-ish post-match reaction to Canada's 2-0 win over El Salvador in San Salvador. I am here with, again, my partner in crime in footy, Samir Murji. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. What an amazing win that was. The energy in my house was just amazing all night. My dad and I were watching it and seeing that second goal go in and solidify it after the huge save. Oh, what a great win. I mean, it's coming. It's coming, Ryan.
It really is. I mean, I was sitting with one of my buddies. He had obviously the game was exciting enough as it is, and it got pretty entertaining towards the end as Canada decided to cause themselves some trouble and then uncause themselves some trouble. But one of my buddies had Canada to win and Jonathan David to score anytime. So that was a nice big selly towards the end there. So that was my favorite moment. Samir, what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was definitely Borjan's save. Once again, we saw it happen in person in Hamilton versus USA, and the crowd was electric, going crazy, and we saw it once again today. I mean, he's coming up big in clutch moments, and that's what we need from our from our goalie, right? And from any soccer team's goalie, they need them to step up in those big moments. And it was 1-0, 92nd minute. That easily could have been a draw. I mean, the way the whole game was going throughout the whole game, I thought it was going to end up being a draw, and he came up big.
He rescued 3 points for Canada, and then Jonathan David sealed the envelope. But it was Milan Borjan. That's Milan Borjan, when the game is tied, comes through. So we are going to bring on the co-host of Northern Futbol, a Canada soccer podcast, and our good friend, Thomas Nef. How you doing, Thomas?
Good. You forgot to mention classmate as well. We have class in 15 hours time, so that's why we're recording at midnight. But we've done some crazier things before. How are you guys doing?
Yes, we have. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you, Thomas. I'm so glad we can finally do something actually soccer related, because it's not too often in class we get to jump into our favorite world. So I want to get your opinion on the pre-match shenanigans, Thomas. There was a lot of things happening in the lead up to this game. I didn't even know if we were going to be doing a post-match. What happened?
Yeah, neither did I. Basically, the players pretty much haven't been paid by the federation, that their bonuses haven't been signed by the president of the El Salvadorian Football Federation, Hugo Carrillo. And they decided to protest. The consensus is that they wrote 2 letters, one saying that they wouldn't be playing, and then releasing another one 30 minutes later saying that they were going to be playing. I spoke to my colleagues at El Gráfico, a TV network that I did some work for back in September, and they told me that what they were able to find out is that this was nothing more than just putting pressure. Actually, by FIFA rules, players cannot actually forfeit a match unless it has to do with injuries, COVID, a war zone, like this is an actual rule book. So
what would have happened then if they decided not to play?
FIFA would have then fined the El Salvadorian Federation, and it would have been an embarrassment. But more than that, I mean, the president gave a press conference in Spanish, of course, and he pretty much said that the bonuses of the players were already on their way. Which is, just him covering his own ass, basically. But it's actually hilarious, because I actually talked to somebody at Canada Soccer while this was going on, and this was a very top high official, and they didn't even know what was going on, right? And it's funny because obviously CONCACAF was sort of had no clue. They in fact, CONCACAF never even released a statement of their own. So this was all kind of happening just kind of on the side. And you could see that it affected the players well.
So basically, what you're saying is it was kind of like a move by the players to try to get the ball rolling for the payment?
Pretty much. I mean, that's what it looked like. All the players kind of agreed that they were going to play the match eventually. And I mean, I'm sure, I hope they get paid. I mean, it's pretty bad, the situation.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate that they haven't got paid already. I don't know
Yeah.
why that's even a conversation that's happening right before the World Cup qualifying match.
Well, it's funny. I actually have a bit of an anecdote. When I was covering this team in Toronto, they stayed at the Hyatt at Rogers Center,
Yeah.
the Sky Dome, in the
Yeah.
Blue Waves. And the president of the El Salvadoran Football Federation, reminder, this was midnight, bro. He was like, he wanted to know where to buy running shoes. And I told him that everything
at midnight in
I
Toronto.
know. I told him. He didn't believe me, but I gave him 2 stores, and then he went there the next day.
What an absurd situation. CONCACAF truly is a special organization. It is bordering on a circus at times, but it did provide some quality entertainment in the end. Maybe it took 45 minutes or so to get there. The Canadian players were clearly pretty rattled to sort of start this one off. There was 100% humidity nearly in El Salvador. It was a poor pitch. It was a hostile environment, and also all these other things going on. Do you think it really affected them?
No, not really. I think the match itself really played out on its own, and there were 3 potential injuries for El Salvador. The goalkeeper, Mario Gonzalez, who actually got injured in warm-up, and the backup keeper had to come in, Kevin Caravantes, and then Zabaleta was also, question mark. He played the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Enrico Dueñas, who came off the bench playing in the second division of Holland, he also was able to be match fit. But nonetheless, I mean, all the players were pretty much available. But speaking on the match itself, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later, it was pretty exciting, just what they were able to pull off. Kind of a similar scoreline as, the exact same scoreline, winning all 3 games 2-0. And the back 4, back 5, back 3, whatever you want to call it, just because they've already played.
It is technically all of those things.
Yeah,
exactly.
The hybrid defense.
It doesn't get enough credit because obviously David Davies and Laren get all the credit. But again, that back 4, back 5, along with Borjan, has just been superb.
Okay, and speaking of players who don't get enough credit, and he did score one of the most bizarre goals I've ever seen in my life today.
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty nuts. And I honestly, we were doing a sort of hybrid TV show as it was happening. And the anchor on air, his exact words were, "I have no idea what I just watched." That was basically what it was. Atiba Hutchinson is coming off a double winning season with Besiktas. He's 39 years old. And I don't know if you guys saw what happened in the build-up to that goal, but he ran from his own box all the way across the field. 39 years old, this guy, 100% humidity. And in a game where really, like, all he needed to do was be solid. Is this guy better than anybody gives him credit for?
100% he's better than what anybody gives him credit for. As you mentioned, running from his own box. The effort and the passion you see every time he plays for Canada, it's unmatched. I saw a broadcaster was talking about him, and someone they named him a famous Canadian who's not famous in Canada. And it's because outside of the world, outside of this country, everyone appreciates how good he is as a player. They appreciate how he dictates the midfield at, as you mentioned, 39 years of age. He's running the league in Turkey. So people have heard of this guy outside of Canada, but inside Canada, people aren't talking about him enough. And I'm glad he got that goal today. I'm glad everyone got to see how much work he puts in. And the fact that it was like a wonder goal or a crazy goal in the way that it went in, it's gonna reach audiences that it wouldn't have reached otherwise. And maybe people will get to learn this story of who Hutchinson is. An amazing man for Canada, and if Canada does reach the World Cup, he will become the second eldest outfield player to ever appear in a World Cup game. So
right.
not only would he have that, he's our captain Canada. It would be amazing for the country. It'd be amazing for the player himself, and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas, do you how much of a part of this Canadian revolution has he been? Because, you know, on the pitch, he's obviously not the most flashy player, but even in the locker room, there's obviously so much he does for this team.
Oh, it's 100% massive. I mean, he's given countless press conferences, which I've been fortunate to be a part of. And he keeps telling everyone, all the media members, that it's about the team. It's about the team. It's not about himself. It's not about himself. And a guy that is so unselfish like that. And Samir brings up the age factor. I mean, only Roger Mia, who represented Cameroon at age 42, would be the oldest player. I mean, they could bring on Zlatan, which would be the third, but nonetheless, it's still pretty impressive. And I had the chance to interview Alistair Johnston, and he called Atiba Hutchinson the Michael Jordan of Canadian soccer. And he's someone who's just so charismatic, and like you say, Ryan and Samir, he's so popular over in Turkey. Like, the guy is a club legend. He cannot walk in the streets of Istanbul without getting recognized. He walks in the streets of Toronto, no one has a clue who this guy is. And just a month away from his 39th birthday, the guy is playing like 30. Like, he is just incredibly consistent. You know, it's actually really funny because John Herman one time gave a press conference, one of his many press conferences, which, you know, he kind of says whatever. But one of the things he said was really interesting is that Atiba Hutchinson, in his club team, he will play on a Saturday, rest on a Wednesday, on a Monday, train on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and play on the Thursday. This guy is insane. Like, he'll rest for 2 days because his body needs it, right? You know, at that age, to do all the recovery and rest. He'll rest, train 2 days, play, and then rest again, and then repeat. Like, it is just insane. Like, this guy he's almost played after 300, 400 matches. The guy has just gotten into such a rhythm that even today, I mean, or yesterday, I guess you could say.
It's yesterday now,
you know,
for sure.
Correct. Yeah. You could tell that, for example, like, he was suspended for that match against the US and wasn't able to be a part of. And that's why, you know, he was able to play 180 minutes as opposed to 270. But if he tried to play the 3 matches, I don't think he would have gone the distance anyways. But when he is there, when he is available to play, he's just such a difference maker. And we need another midfielder like him, because once he retires, which I think will be at the World Cup, which, by the way, it's pretty much not officially confirmed, but according to We Global Football, Canada now has a 100% chance to make it to the World Cup. And that's because the match number was 24 points. Canada now has 25, and they've already qualified at least a top 4 spot. So Atiba pretty much is like, I think Canada will have a hard time replacing someone like him. You have Eustáquio, who just moved to Porto, and you have a couple MLS guys like Piet, Osorio, and Kay, which they're still pretty good. Fraser, who just signed for a team that's probably going to be promoted to the Belgian Pro League next season. Yeah, I mean, this season, I should say. But you still need someone like that will kind of play at a world-class club like Atiba. So I just think, you know, those are the 2 positions that I would say Canada still needs to look for post 2022, and like a world-class center back and someone in the midfield to replace someone like Atiba. But I mean, and they're pretty good in goalkeeper. They're pretty good in the fullbacks. They're really good in wingers and center forward. They just got Ugbo to commit, and he just got himself alone.
We've hardly even seen any of him, and really, like, he could be an impact, a difference maker when it comes to the World Cup, which theoretically now they have 100% chance of qualifying without actually being qualified. I don't know how that works, but
yeah, I don't know, but that's just what the statistics makes it make, because even after the next 3 games, whatever the result, I mean, 2 or 5 teams will get eliminated, 2 to 3, because right now it's only 5 teams that are in contention, right? With Costa Rica, Panama, the US, Mexico, and Canada. Right?
It's just spectacular, the rise that has occurred over the last 24 months. Really, it's been brewing for a little while, but the actual question that I'm sort of starting to ask myself now is what's a realistic expectation for this team in the World Cup? You know, there's a chance they get drawn in not the bottom pot. I believe it's pot C. Pot 3, sorry, not pot C. I knew I was close. Pot 3, and Qatar are a host nation. They're in pot 1. there's a situation in which Canada could find themselves as the second best team in their group. And in CONCACAF, the USA and Mexico have generally progressed out of the group stages in their World Cup past. 4 out of 7 times for the US since 1990, and 9 out of 10 times for Mexico through to the round of 16. It's a real possibility that this team is way better than we think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. I think, to be honest, people shouldn't be surprised if Canada makes it to the knockout stages in this World Cup. I can guarantee that Canada's going to score their first goal at a World Cup. I think that's coming for sure. But I would not be surprised if Canada made some noise, especially with the squad, the way they've been playing. I mean, we're talking about one of the best CONCACAF qualification periods we've ever seen from any team.
No team has ever won 6 in a row.
Yeah, CONCACAF. Exactly. And not only that,
no team has won in the hexagonal or an octagonal, never won 6 in a row.
Exactly. And not only that, the amount of goals that this team's scoring, the amount of confidence flowing through this team. And we all know how the sport works. If the team's carrying momentum, if the team's playing in this form, I mean, the World Cup's not too far away, and they could definitely upset some of these weaker teams around the world.
Thomas, what do you think? I kind of liken it a little bit to the sort of Iceland situation, except Canada's a way bigger nation with theoretically way more fans.
You know, it's funny because this team is just so humble. And Grant Wall, who was an American journalist, for those of you who don't know, he actually tweeted this. He said, "Canada is the best story in World Cup qualifying worldwide," and that is a fact. I mean, this is like, you look at all the countries in the world, and Iceland's an amazing story. So is Croatia, you know, getting to the final. But Canada, you know, 5th richest country, 3rd largest country in the world, and has never been a soccer nation until now, and it's still evolving. But here's the thing too, like, they have progressed so much. I mean, Mexico are the only team that have ever gone 10 or 11 windows without losing a match. That is insane. 11 matches and Canada still hasn't lost. Not to mention too that there's a good chance Canada could stay undefeated. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. But look, I mean, they're going to be playing against Jamaica, which are going to be already eliminated. Panama and Costa Rica, they're still in the race. So I think that's going to be the tougher task for sure. And they have to go do it in San Jose and Panama City. But nonetheless, I mean, you guys talk about the World Cup, and that is not out of the question. I mean, in pot 3, Canada right now is looking to crack the top 30, 35 in the FIFA rankings. And if they continue to win like this, they will crack the top 30. And they could even, before the World Cup starts, they could even be like 27th, 26th, 25th in the world. And like you say, I mean, it could be anywhere from getting Qatar in your group to that group of death. And I think that somewhere in between, Canada can be the 3rd best team, and then play against one of these European teams that are ranked 16th, 17th, 21st, 22nd in the world, and then just upset them and then get that 2nd place spot. Like, it is not out of the question. And I completely agree with you, Samir. Like, people should not be surprised if when Canada scores the first goal, when Canada gets the first win in the World Cup, when Canada gets their first shot at a World Cup, when Canada, like, they should not be surprised, because this is just happening as it's evolving. Look at this window. First win in Honduras since 1993. First win over the U.S. in World Cup qualifying since 1980. And then first win in El Salvador since 1996. So these things are just keep happening and happening and happening. And it's just records are keep being broken. So when people say, "Oh, this record's not going to get broken," yes, it is, man. Like, because every time we say it's not, it just continues to surprise and surprise people.
This team just keeps proving us wrong and wrong, like every doubter wrong, and they keep proving all the believers right. Like, I mean, like, this team has it in them. We see it every game. We see the effort, and it's not just the first 11. I mean, like, we're missing certain players, we're rotating certain players due to watching out for suspension. Even the bench, the squad depth, they're believers too. They play the system, they play their roles, and everyone just wants to get to Qatar, and I love seeing this. It was such a good game today, such a great window, as you mentioned, 3-2, 3 straight 2-0 wins. I'm just elated as a soccer fan.
It's just I have been unable to take the smile off my face for like almost 5 or 6 days now. It's just been like, it's been a wonderful time to be a Canadian soccer fan, and there's so many different things you can be excited about. Like, we've hardly even talked about Milan Borjan. He has literally saved this team 3 points twice
And
this
his
window.
pants.
And his pants. His pants are the greatest. When you see that guy in person in those pants, honestly, it's just a beautiful sight. It's one of the best things in the world. And I hope he brings them to Qatar, even if it's just for a photo op, because he can't wear them on the pitch. It'll be way too hot. But just for a photo op, we got to see them.
Mm-hmm.
That saved the game today.
Yep.
They would not be, Jonathan David wouldn't be celebrating.
And that was the first shot of El Salvador.
Yep.
In the entire match. The first shot.
And it was in the 90th. It was in the 92nd minute, I believe, and that was going in. I mean, like, if he did not tip that over, that was going in.
That would have been the 1-1 goal for sure.
I mean, the way the whole game played out, it was just screaming a 1-1 finish. But that just shows how resilient this Canadian team is. That in games like this, where it's not going their way, they're not playing their best overall, they're going to grind out the win and get the win when it matters. So
there's a couple things that encourage me significantly about this window in particular. Jonathan David has been without a doubt, the most important development of this window. Now, it's not necessarily a development in his play. We all know how good Jonathan David is, his quality, his technical ability, his speed, his strength. He's got all the hallmarks of an incredible center forward. But the fact that Alphonso Davies was out, everyone made a really big deal about it coming into this break. And Jonathan David proved that this isn't a one-man team. He proved that he can shoulder that load in exactly the same way. And there's other guys who can do it too. And he doesn't have to do it on his own, which is the best part.
Yeah, here's what I would say about this. People who were worried that Alphonso Davies was missing this window haven't been really paying attention. And the reason I say that is because Canada took Mexico to the brink, to the 121st minute in the semifinals of the Gold Cup without Davies, David, and Laird. That was a breakout tournament for guys like Buchanan and guys like Crapeau and so many other guys on the team that, were B players, but in that tournament became A1, A2 players, right? That can challenge pretty much just anyone for that starting spot. And I have to say I think it's pretty surprising statement. Not really, but Alphonso Davies is without a question Canada's best player, but he has not been Canada's best player. Like we saw him in Panama against Panama, without a doubt, best player in that game. But if you take individual games, pretty much he hasn't been the best player, and that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. Because when teams are marking 2-3 players with him, other players like David, as you mentioned, who by the way has 20 goals in 27 games, he's 3 short of tying Laren's record.
They're gonna go at it forever.
Yeah. And the guy's 22. Like, I think he's gonna retire with Canada, like with probably 40, 50 goals, without a doubt.
Couple World Cups. Honestly, it's gonna be
World Cups.
A couple World Cups, not a couple World Cup titles, a couple World Cup appearances. Hold on. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I don't necessarily think we're gonna go back to back at the World Cup. Mm-hmm. That being said, a host nation, I don't know, maybe it's shaping up to be something special in 2026. Okay, there's so much more to talk about, but it's getting pretty late here. We should close it off for the night. Thank you so much, Thomas, for joining. I'm sure we will speak to you many more times over the next few weeks. We're going to be doing all the coverage for Canada's women's soccer matches upcoming next week. And we'll be back here in March for the beautiful, beautiful day when Canada officially seal World Cup qualification. And I think it's going to be a feast against Jamaica.
I believe so. These guys taste it. They taste the blood and the water, and they're just going to go for it.
I hope they can qualify at home against Jamaica. It would be kind of better to qualify at home. I think it would, be a bigger, but you can never control these things. They could qualify in the last game against Panama. They could qualify against Costa Rica in the first game. So we'll see, but definitely in March, they'll be qualifying and making all the headlines for sure.
One thing we do know is John Herdman is going to go no holds barred. He is not going to put anything up to chance. Full strength, full speed ahead, and onwards to Qatar. I've been Ryan May. I'm still Ryan May. I will continue to be Ryan May here with Samir Murji and Thomas Nef for Canada Footy TV.